Hello, welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Wicked. Um, Still the City of Emeralds. One evening, through the skylight, the full moon fell heavily on Elphaba sleeping. Fiyero had awakened and gone to take a leak in the chamber pot. Malky was stalking mice on the stairs. Coming back, Fiyero looked at the form of his lover, more pearly than green tonight. He had brought her a traditional Vinca spring silk scarf, roses on a black background, and he tied it around her waist, and from then on it was a costume for love-making. Tonight, in sleeping, she had nudged it, and he had curved the tender fragility of her knee and the bony ankle. There was a smell of perfume still in the air, and the resiny animal smell, and the smell of the mystical sea, and the sweet cloaking smell of hair all riled up by sex. He sat by the side of her bed and looked at her. Her pubic hair grew, almost more purple than black, in small spangled curls, a different pattern than Surima's. There was an odd shadow near the groin. For a sleepy moment, he wondered if some of his blue diamonds had, in the heat of sex, been steamed onto her own, or was it a scar? But she woke up just then, and in the moonlight covered herself with a blanket. She smiled at him drowsily and called him Euro, my hero, and that melted his heart. She could get so angry, though. I wouldn't be surprised if the pork roll you're devouring in such perfect mindless affluence is cut from a pig. She snapped at him once. Just because you've already eaten, you don't need to ruin my appetite, he protested mildly. Free-living animals were not much evidence in his home territory, and a few sentient creatures he'd known at Shiz had, except for the philosophy club that night, made the little impressions. The plight of the animals had not touched him. This is why you shouldn't fall in love. It blinds you. Love is a wicked distraction. Now you have pulled me off my lunch. He fed the rest of his pork roll to Malky. What in the world do you know about wickedness? You're a bit player in this network of renegades, aren't you? You're a novice. I know this. The wickedness of men is that their power breeds stupidity and blindness, she said. And of women? Women are weaker, but their weakness is full of cunning and equally rigid moral certainty. Since their arena is smaller, their capacity for real damage is less alarming. Though being more intimate, they are more treacherous. And my capacity for evil, said Fiyero, feeling implicated and uncomfortable. And yours? Fiero's capacity for evil is in believing too strenuously in a capacity for good. And yours? Mine is thinking in epigrams. You let yourself off lightly, he said, a little annoyed. Is that what you're engaged by your secret network to do? Generate witty epigrams? Oh, there's big doings afoot, she said uncharacteristically. I won't be at the center of it, but I'll be on the fringes helping out, believe me. What are you talking about? A coup? Never mind you, and you'll stay blameless, just as you want to be. That was nastiness on her part. An assassination? So what would you do if you killed some general butcher? What does that make you? A saint? A saint of the revolution? Or a martyr if you're killed in the campaign? She couldn't answer. She shook her narrow head in irritation, then flung the rosy shawl across the room as if it infuriated her. What if some innocent bystander is killed as you aim for General Pig Butcher? I don't know or care much about martyrs, she said. All that smacks of a higher plan, a cosmology, something I don't believe in. If we can't comprehend the plan at hand, how could a higher plan make any more sense? But I were to believe in martyrdom, I suppose I'd say you can only be a martyr if you know what you're dying for, and choose it. Ah, so then there are innocent victims in this trade, those who didn't choose to die, but are in their line of fire. There will be, accidents, I guess. Could there be grief, regret in their exalted circle? Is there any such thing as a mistake? Is there a concept of tragedy? Fiyero, you disaffected fool. The tragedy is all around us. Worrying about anything smaller is a distraction. And casualty of the struggle is their fault, not ours. We don't embrace violence, but we don't deny its existence. How can we deny when its effects are all around us? That kind of denial is a sin. If anything is, now I've heard the word I never expected to hear you say. Denial? Sin? No, we. I don't know why. The long dissenter at Creech Hall turned institutional, a company gal, a team player, our former Miss Queen of Solitaire. You misunderstand. There's a campaign but no agents. There is a game but no players. I have no colleagues. I have no self. I never did, in fact, but that's beside the point. I'm just muscular twitch in the larger organism. Ha! You the most individual, the most separate, the most real. Like everyone else, you refer to my looks, and you make fun of them. I adore your looks, and I acknowledge them, Faye. They parted that day without speaking, and he spent the evening at the betting parlor, losing money. The next time he saw her, he brought her 3 green candles and 3 gold candles and decorated her flat for Lorena's. I don't believe in religious feast day, she said, but reluctant to admit. They are pretty, though. You have no soul, he teased her. You're right, she answered soberly. I didn't think it showed. You're only playing word games now. No, she said. What proof have I of a soul? How can you have a conscience if you don't have a soul? He asked despite himself. He wanted to keep things light, to get back into a better footing on their last episode of moral wrestling and estrangement. How can a bird feed its young if it has no conscience of before and after? A conscience. Fiyero, my hero, is only consciousness in another dimension, the dimension of time. What you call conscience, I prefer to call instinct. Birds feed their young without understanding why. Without weeping about how all that is born must die. Sob, sob. I do my work with a similar motivation. The movement and the gut toward the food, fairness, and safety. I am a pack animal wheeling with the herd. That's all. I am a forget table leaf on a tree. Since your work is terrorism, that's the most extreme argument for crime I've ever heard. You're skewing all personal responsibility. It's as bad as those who sacrifice their personal will in gloominess morasses of the unknowable will of some unnameable God. If you suppress the idea of personhood, then you suppress the notion of individual culpability. What is worse, Fiyero? Suppressing the idea of personhood or suppressing through torture and incarceration and starvation? Real living persons? Look, would you worry about saving one precious sentimental portrait in a museum of fine arts when the city around you is on fire and real people are burning to death? Keep some proportion in all this. But even some innocent bystander, say an annoying society dame, is a real person, not a portrait. Your metaphor is distracting and belittling. It's a blind excuse for crime. A society dame has chosen to parade herself as a living portrait. She must be treated as such. It's her due. The denial of it, that's your evil, to go back to the other day. I say you save the innocent bystander if you can't, even if she's a society dame, or he's a captain of industry thriving mightily on those repressive moves, but not at those expense of other realer people. If you can't have them, you can't. Everything costs. I don't believe in this concept of real or realer people. You don't? She smiled, not nicely. When I do disappear again, dearie, I'm sure it'll be less real than I am now. She made to simulate sex against him. He turned his head, surprising at the vigor of his aversion. Later that night, when they had made up, she suffered a racking paradox and painful sweats. She would not let him touch her. You should go away. I'm not worthy of you, she moaned. And sometime later, when she was calmer, she murmured before sleeping again, I love you so much, Fiyero. You just don't understand. Being born with a talent or an inclination for goodness is the aberration. She was right. He didn't understand. He wiped her brow with a dry towel and kept close to her. There was a frost in the skylight, and they slept beneath their winter coats to keep warm. I'm going to stop it right there, and I will see you later.